So, this is possibly the most politically actively rolled match all crammed into one, because if you think about it for more than a minute, it's kind of astonishing how we got here. The AEW International Championship was captured by Konosuke Takeshita in Wrestle Dream, defeating Will Ospreay and Ricochet in a hellacious triple threat match. Wait for that down the road. And he would go on to wrestle Speedball Mike Bailey at Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. Yeah. This was a two-part event called Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling Forged in Excellence, which would be run by Scott D'Amore. Hooray! Scott D'Amore is back in wrestling, everyone! Because tragically, he was fired by TNA Anthem, psychopathic madman, for reasons I still don't know, other than that he was trying to actually be competent. He did confirm that he did try to buy TNA from them, say, look, if you give me the company, I'll take everything. I'll take the debt. I'll take everything the company owns. I'll take everything. You don't have to deal with it. I'll keep it for myself, and we can keep going with this. And they fired him. And then WWE ended a partnership with TNA. They've been mostly working in NXT. And WWE has... They've shared some talent. But I'm like, if you really want to justify this shit, you gotta prove your worth. Like, you tell them you brought the the Knockouts champ and Alex Hammerstone, send a bigger star there to TNA. Watch something happen. Like, I've been saying this for God knows. If you really want to prove, because people keep trying to judge this with WWE and AEW, because of course, then here's my response. Okay, send Roman. I know what I just said is impossible because of Roman's part-time schedule, but if Kenny Omega can work TNA when they were Impact, then Roman should be able to too. But it's not about Kenny Omega or Roman Reigns, but there is a bit of WWE element to this, because Konosuke Takeshita, a contracted AEW DDT pro wrestler who is holding the AEW International Championship, is defending the title against Night 2 of Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling run by Scott D'Amore, who, like I said, was unjustly fired. Even the roster got mad at this and threatened to walk out, more or less. And Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling got Josh Alexander, TNA staple wrestler, there to perform in this match. And the title of AEW's International Championship would be defended in this matchup. The amount of politicking that has to come into making that match happen has to be astonishing, in all honesty. Because think about it. A contracted DDT pro wrestler, Konosuke Takeshita, who is holding the AEW International Championship and is one of their top stars, is making his maiden voyage as the champ, because this is his first title defense, surprisingly, in a different promotion run by a former TNA head honcho who managed to convince TNA to loan him Josh Alexander, a TNA contracted wrestler who is in a partnership deal with WWE. And there could be plans in place for Josh Alexander to show up in NXT eventually. Like, this is kind of the psyche you have to kind of try to rationalize when you think about it, because it's just astonishing how this is happening. Like this, I'm getting the vibe I got when Don Callis went ahead and told the announcer, this coming Impact Wrestling. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting. Like this is kind of exciting to see a vast array of elements of wrestling promotions converge in one event. Now we could get Bryan Danielson, CM Punk to go ahead and fight out their issues at GCW in a bloody hellacious matchup that will probably make Bryan extremely horny. Then we'll be in business. Yeah. But yeah, when I heard this was the match, I was like, okay, it's just gonna be a regular matchup. And then they got changed to the International Championship, and that kind of evaporated any tension that you get from this, from the story perspective, because you know, okay, well, Konosuke is gonna clearly win because unless TNA is gonna end their deal with WWE, Johnson Alexander is not gonna take the victory. But, like, I'm pretty sure we're going to get some shenanigans on this. This match lasted for nearly 30 minutes. It was a phenomenal clinic. Like, oh, yeah, this was a top show-stealing match. It probably stole the whole weekend. And to see this happening in 2024, to see all these elements collide is just also exciting. But, yeah, there was a lot, and here's the thing I love most about this match, more than anything, despite all the ability, all the athleticism, Mauro freaking Ranallo is back in the wrestling business. He is the voice of Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, MLPW. Someone actually already made a joke on the Twitter timeline saying about My Little Pony and all that shenanigans that came from that, and I was like, well, I was waiting for someone to say that. I knew that was coming. But, yeah. This is Konosuke's maiden voyage, and it starts off in spectacular fashion. It's so technically sound. Mauro Ranallo, crisp and great as ever. He hasn't lost a step in the wrestling scene in years, since I honestly think the last time he called a wrestling match was Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann, which was also in TNA when Scott D'Amore had arranged that. So we all win. And I like, here's the thing about Scott D'Amore. I like the moxie he gives off. Like, he's just like that passionate about this industry. And what I love most is that I really wanted him, like, if he did not, like, he was under an exclusive deal, and he couldn't, and he was under no-compete clauses for a while, and then the no-compete clauses was up, and then especially the no-compete clauses were being threatened by the United States government because they were trying to get rid of all those, so there's a chance that Scott D'Amore was going to be a free man way ahead of schedule, and he is like the one guy I kind of wanted to see go all elite, mostly for what he could give to the backstage scene. Sure, he could probably do well as a character, but I would have loved him to run Ring of Honor. Like, come on, Tony, you have to delegate some powers to some people, to some trustworthy people. And Scott D'Amore is definitely the one man you should definitely give Ring of Honor to have the booking power of. It would be so good. But since he's running his own promotion, I don't see that happening. But I do see Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling and All Elite Wrestling finishing what TNA and AEW were supposed to have greatly started, because he did come out and reveal that Kenny Omega wanted to do more matches in TNA, but politics kind of stopped that. And I think we already know what one of those matches were. He's in the main event of this MLP event. And Konosuke Takeshita, being the alpha now, stole the moment from Kenny now, along with Christian Cage. And this match was so fucking good. Just seeing these guys go at it, but as the match went on, I knew the result, but like, you still got that moment. It's like, could they actually pull Swerve and have this go to Josh Alexander? Like, I know it's not going to happen because, well, they're in a different promotion. 2, Josh Alexander has commitments with TNA, which by extension has commitments with WWE due to their partnerships probably. And there would be so many headaches to be made from that if they dropped the belt and gave it to Josh Alexander. Like, don't get me wrong, he'd be a great international champion. But Konosuke, we've been wanting this for months now. We've been wanting him to hold that title for months now. Or any championship, probably for nearly a year. Since he beat Kenny Omega twice in a row and pinned him. But the thing that surprised me about this is how it ended. Konosuke won clean. I was expecting Don Callis, who was also on commentary with Mauro Ranallo, awesome moment, just going ahead and beating him clean in the ring. And I was stunned by that because I thought for sure shenanigans would happen. Like Don Callis would bring in the legendary screwdriver of the betrayal and stab Josh Alexander with it. Especially since you can make that story happen, because remember, Don Callis was TNA Impact executive once upon a time with Scott D'Amore, and they could have made that make sense. Especially given Josh Alexander's history with Don Callis, especially with how he and Kenny ran roughshod over the company. Well, those were the days. The restoration of the territories, as I called it, or also the dawn of pro wrestling, back when everything was so much more optimistic, and then everything went to hell 2 phases later. But it was just so great to see these guys get all together again. It reminded me so much of when I and here's the thing, I did watch TNA when Kenny Omega was showing up because that was the first time in years I was interested, just to see what would happen next. Like, I hadn't gotten that since I was a kid, where I was like, I need to see what happens next. I need to see what happens next. Tell me. Okay. Like, I had to go and research what channel Access TV is on just to get the number. And then I had to find the streaming platform for it that makes it work, so that was an annoyance. But, yeah. And then, just when I thought, Konosuke winning, Don Callis goes and celebrates his victory in arrogant fashion, and Maranello doing his biz. I honestly think Maranello could do the Joey Styles one-man commentary thing for the company. Like, it's probably not going to happen, but it would be cool. The voice of the voice of Canada, oh Canada, our home and native lands, with their smugness of affordable healthcare and insulin. But before I go deep into the political stuff that goes on in Canada that makes the US look sad, god damn it, Maranello is just that great. But when Don Callis and Konosuke started wailing on the down Josh Alexander, who was also sporting the colors of Bret the Hitman Hart, so I'm pretty sure somewhere out there FTR and CM Punk are together looking at this and be like, god damn it, that would have been awesome. Yeah, I had to throw in the mandatory CMFTR because that was something they did a lot. Emulate Bret Hart and the Hart Foundation, the Hart family. Oh boy. So now Josh Alexander joins that trope. The Hart trope, as I call it now, because almost it seems like because for a long time Bret Hart was seemingly the top star in AEW and everywhere else, and then we're getting emulating his history and continuity and wrestling style at times. I'll give that credit for that. But surprisingly, the night wasn't over. Ricochet showed up, continuing his storyline with Konosuke Takeshita and rescuing Josh Alexander. It looked like Josh Alexander was a bit pissed, and Maranello dropped the WWE name, so that's pretty weird and awkward, isn't it? Like, I know commentators of other companies do mention the promotion, the WWE, but it's just, when I say it's weird, it's the fact that, oh god, Ricochet had just left months ago. Now he's saving the guy whose company is partnered with the WWE, and then it's the company that fired Scott D'Amore and got rid of Don Callis, and now they're all working together again. It's just so weird. It's so meta. It's just so hilarious to think about when you think about it. Like, I don't see WWE and AEW ever partnering up anytime soon because the executive powers and the powers that be, like, they're too busy. They have their heads up their own asses, but it's just fun to think about. I'm still waiting for the dream day that we'll probably ever get Kenny Omega versus Roman Reigns at their absolute apex. But that's a fantasy at this point. Maybe, who knows? But nice to dream. But it's an exciting time. I'm looking forward to what Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling is going to bring to the table later. I want to know what they do next. I wonder if they're going to try and get a show eventually to kickstart their new era, a weekly show. Right now, they just have the Forged in Excellence event in their Rebirth era, but it's currently available on Triller.tv. Check that out, or just go anywhere else where they allow you to see the show in its entirety that doesn't involve that specific site. I don't know. Personally, I don't recommend pirating it because, let's be real, Scott D'Amore has earned this nugget of money. But that's about it for your host today of NRE The Wrestleverse. This is your host, Eric Brown. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my content in the description below to see more. And if you followed me on the Reality Collective, I have been teasing the nearing approach of NRE Year 10. Yeah, it's good. It's almost been 10 years since this YouTube life started, since I started making content on the web. There are plans in place, but we'll see what happens. Peace and take care, and have a good night, all.